What is up, Wretched Nation? Today we have another Talking Head video in the garage. I want to talk about Harley Davidson a little bit. It looks like for the model year 2022, it looks like they're going to be killing 3 models. Now, those 3 models look to be ones that probably aren't selling the best. Definitely 3 models that could probably take it or leave it. They don't have to have them. One model, I believe, is going to be turned into something else, and one model I don't think they should get rid of. So we got 3 bikes to go over, and then we have one rumor that I hope is true, but I'm not quite sure where Harley's going to go with this. I'll definitely stick to the end of the video to see about that. First off, let's just kick it off. Harley's been killing the Sportsters little by little, and another model is going to die. It appears that they're going to kick off 2022 with only 2 Sportster models, the Iron 883 and the 48, which is a 1200 model. I don't quite understand why they picked the 48 over the 1200. Only thing I can think of is the 48 being a more expensive option, and I think it was like a $1,200 difference. I'm not 100% sure or what the price is going to be for 2022 anyways. But whatever the price difference is, that's 100% profit probably. They're charging more for a bike that probably costs the same. As far as just a lineup standpoint, I thought it would be cooler just to have the Iron 883 and the Iron 1200. The only difference between the Iron and the 48 is just riding preference. This bike is set up a little bit different. The 48 is set up to be a little bit more like Urban Destroyer, and the 1200 or the Iron was set up to be kind of like a retro, just kind of like cheap chop, something what a lot of people would aspire their bikes to be. And then with the Iron 883 and the Iron 1200, that would just be very simple to have for 2 Sportster models that aren't the Sportster S. We're going to put that in a different category. But while we're talking about the Sportster S, the 48 is designed just like the Sportster S is. So those 2 bikes, Harley's doing the thing again where the bikes are very close to each other, and if I'm not 100% sure on what the price gap is going to be between those 2 models, especially if Harley does come out with the 975 or a smaller version of the Sportster S, that this 48 is just the wrong bike to have next to it. But moving on, I don't think that's necessarily a bad move. I will tell you all day long, if you're going in there to buy a brand new Harley Davidson Sportster, you are just going to ruin your financial stability. That is the worst bike to buy, in my opinion, at a Harley dealer. But moving on, we have the Slim. The Softail Slim is finally going away. I say that because I don't even think it was 100% popular when it came out. It did have a couple of special paint jobs, and that was kind of cool. It was definitely like a retro style. I think it was also one of their lowest seat height, so it was definitely always marketed towards women, but low bikes aren't always the best in the world. I prefer a high bike, and I know a lot of people who don't ride aggressively don't quite understand that, but having your pegs and frame and exhaust so close to the ground where you can't lean it just makes a bike unusable to me. The Slim was an okay bike. It was kind of, I feel like it existed past the black line. I think the black line should have stayed and the Slim should have went, years back when they cut that. But at this point, I don't think there's a spot for the Slim. I feel like if somebody really wants that retro style, they're going to go to the Heritage, and that's probably what they're doing anyways. So that bike just needs to go, and it's going to go. There's really nothing else to talk about that. The third bike that I think could have stayed strong, that they're going to cut, is the Sport Glide. They didn't do well when they did like the Dyna Switchback. I think because it didn't look sporty at all. It just looked like a old bike that they should have bought 10 years ago when it came out. The Sport Glide, you definitely look at the name, it's a lot more sporty. You got a little tiny bikini fairing that you could pop off. I don't like that it was so close to like the smallest micro batwing fairing you could find. I wish they'd done a little bit better styling on that. And the bags weren't paint matched. They were just like regular bags. I don't know if they had that as an option, but what I'm talking about when the bike came out, the bike was kind of cool. It definitely had a lot of potential if somebody wants to do uh, like a T fairing or something like that, or some type of like club style bike, and it was already kind of set up. I believe the bags and fairing came off pretty easy. A buddy of mine up in New York has one. I know the fairing comes off super quick. You never take the bags off, so not 100% sure on that, because honestly the bike kind of popped up. I looked into it and kind of forgot all about the bike. So that bike probably needs to go just based off of the response of it and the sales of it. You never see them ever, so I'm sure they don't sell very well. I think they would have done a better job if they could incorporate some paint a little bit better. They could have charged a little bit more and maybe worked on the accessory side of it, put a different, better fairing on it. But Harley's ready to kill it, and it's time to go. So those are the three bikes. Comment down below, what do you think? What bike do you think they should have kept? Or do you think that all three bikes needed to go? You got the Iron 1200, the Slim, and the Sport Glide. Now on to the rumor. We're not quite sure about this. I think that the Sport Glide was axed to move in another bike. I think that they're going to do it. I don't know at what capacity. I've heard some people talk about it, but I've never heard them talk about the idea that I have, and that's to bring back the T-fairing. Take the Lowrider S, throw a old style touring fairing on it, paint match bags, and just really do it up. Not like bagger bags like the Road Glide, Street Glide, and Road King have, but a little bit slimmer, a little more round, just paint match bags. I think that would look killer. What's gonna hurt them, and they have to be careful of, is pricing. Harley always likes to price a little high. The Lowrider S, I believe, is like at $18,000. That's getting into bagger territory, and I believe the Road King Special is like $24,000. Or maybe I think it's $23,000. So you're like $5,000 in there, and you got to be very careful. That Road King Special is going to handle better than that Softail. I'm sorry, but the frame is set up better. There's more to do with it. You probably are going to handle better on that Road King. I know that both the dealers in my area have already taken Road Kings and done them up, touring fairing style, and basically made performance bikes out of them. They're not using Softails, they're using Road Kings. I don't know at what price that they've put these bikes at when they've gone to that. I haven't even asked. I'm sure they're probably, because when they do that, they're doing aftermarket exhaust, intakes, seats, all that stuff. So they're probably jacking these bikes up over $30,000. Now, Harley's not going to do that. I think if Harley's going to make a win, I think they need to take that Lowrider and put $3,000 into it. That's it. And I think what they need to do is not necessarily worry so much about selling the new Softail touring bike. I think they need to try to find a way, if they can, to make that touring fairing available on any of their Softail models with the bags, and make a set that's paint matchable that they can buy from Harley Davidson. You're going to have, basically, I feel like they should build and make the bike to sell the parts. If Harley does that, I think that's where all the money's going to be. You're going to have a lot of people. I mean, they've been making these Softails since 18. Next year, if they drop that bike, if they do, that's 4 years in. There's all these bikes out there. If somebody out there now has got their Softail paid off or whatever, they can come right back to Harley and spend, I don't know, whatever it might cost on the back end part, maybe like $6,000 to have paint match bags, fairing, all the brackets, everything. I think Harley's got to be very careful what they're going to price this bike at, because they're going to directly compete with the Road King, and the bike is just not going to be as comfortable and sporty from the factory. They can definitely probably make it do something pretty good on the aftermarket, but from the factory, that Road King is just going to handle better. And I think they're going to have to be very careful on the pricing, because the Road King can get more expensive, and that lowrider is already pretty close. If they put that fairing on there, they're going to have to be careful. But the parts is where it's at. I've not heard anybody talk about that, not heard anybody talk about that as an option, or even think about it. But if Harley can make that touring fairing and the bags paint match, they don't need a radio, but if they want to do some type of speaker option, or get up with a Plex Audio or some different companies to make something work, that could be helpful. But the parts are where it's at. That's what's going to make them the money, and that's my idea. What do you guys think? Or you want to see a new Softail Touring come out? What do you think about the parts available to retrofit on all the other Softails that are out there and make all theirs like a Touring? I mean, it would be pretty cool if you can get that all in your Street Bob. I understand they don't want to make that their flagship bike. I totally understand, but if somebody's got a Street Bob, built it up, and kind of want that style, why not? But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I would greatly appreciate it. But as always, keep it wretched.